We have arrived at bog number 2, if that's what we're going to call it, and you may or may not see it in the distance yet, but it is a large one by comparison to the other one, and depending on terrain, we're going to find the best, least resistance-esque means of approaching this. This thing, if I am correct, is about the size of 2 or 3 consecutive football fields, so this is a fairly big water system. And there's my friends, the poker bushes, or the this actually looks like it cuts through nicely if I don't fall and kill myself. Mental note, that one stick is very, her log is very slippery. But I don't think we're going to be able to get all the way around this. But we're gonna, I don't think I've approached from this angle before. So I'm going to go over this way since there's more dry land actually outside the wood line. It'll give us a better or a wider vantage point. But as you can begin to see, this one is much bigger than the other one was. And that comes right out water's edge. Now that water starts a lot sooner than it looks. We can go over here. In parallel for a moment as I look for dry land. So this is basically confirming my theory that a lot of this is like swampy, walk right up unknowingly to the water line kind of fun, as you, well, maybe you can't see from but the water begins right very quickly. First a pan and then I'll demonstrate. The size of the pond. I'm not getting all of it either. There's more over there. But as you can see, this is not a tiny place. And what I can do is step through over here to get the rest of it. It opens up to make the larger point. I might actually be tempted to do a low-level flyover of this if it wasn't so windy. Maybe I'll do that tomorrow as part of my points with that. But just to, I guess we're going to do the up-close and personal version first. And a lot of the surrounding water side. To make the point, the water starts very quickly. You come right up on it, and then the tree line is a whole lot of this. And the thing is, I flew the drone over this. I think I see the beaver lodge out in the middle there. And from 200 feet up, a lot of this, this looks more solid than it is. And it's plain to see that it could be because of the water, I mean from the rain, but clearly this is not as dry an area as one would think. So one wonders how deep it is as far as like trying to kayak through that. That'd be an interesting experience, or a massive exercise in frustration. But to get the drone out over this at a height of maybe 100 feet or so above the tree line so you don't bump into things, but enough to kind of go over there, pan over this way, and kind of get a layout of the water system would be interesting tomorrow. Today the wind keeps kicking up and then taking a break and kicking up, so it's kind of unpredictable, so I'm kind of reluctant still. We're starting to make our way back down the, we're going to start heading back. We're starting our way back down the side of the mountain to get to, there's even water here, get to the Five Bogs proper again, and from there we can see if the wind is a little more tame. It's died down now, but it's also kicked up a lot of times too, so I am reluctant to put the drone in the air to any degree of height and then see it get blown off course to effectively anywhere in the undergrowth. That's not a bad time if you don't have it. So, planning in advance, you avoid these things. Also, pardon the hucking sound I'm making. Allergies have been a factor this week. Which is kind of weird given the weather, because normally this kind of thing is a spring allergy kind of thing, whereas it's kind of been more in the fall this time of year, which is a change and a challenge to all those global warming deniers. But anywho, an overview of that, which is the southern bog, but it's not tiny. It's actually sizable, and the middle bog. And we are again back, and we are making our approach to the middle bog as soon as I find a path of least resistance kind of approach. A little more. This approach is a little more hilly. Not the worst I've ever done, but I guess this is the least resistant path, but we'll pop in here for a look. And it is a bummer you have all this leaf litter, though, because you can't really do effective tracking in this. You're either in the right place at the right time to hear something or see something, but unless you find scat or something, you're kind of poking around looking for whatever in this. I expect, because this one is basically a meadow around a stream situation, I expect that the water level in this one's going to be pretty high too. Again, that backstory being we've had about, up until this last evening, a good solid 48 hours of good old New England, the nor'easter-esque rain, sustained and heavy for most of the time it was going on. Noticing the leaf litter has a lot of downed logs under it, which makes the terrain deceptively not as easy as it looks. It looks easy, but lots of things moving around under your feet apparently. That's not so good, but we're doing all right. We're just going to take that out of the equation. And as I recall, the last time I came down to this particular clearing, the water, like the other one, begins pretty quick by the water line. It's like pretty much there waiting for you when you get to the edge of the tree line. So my friends are trying to deny me that final push towards the tree line. Pardon the edge in my voice as I want to... This recently broke off, looks like. And there's basically two parts of this. Right into the mush. There's this bigger part here, and then there's a longer, skinnier part that is over there. But this one's more treacherous, because as I walk out even 2 feet, I will demonstrate rather than describe. There's this stuff, which has the squishy consistency of waterlogged, waterbed type stuff, and it's not the funnest to walk on. So we're not gonna, and if we go over that way, that's probably all of what we'd be walking on. So a quick pan, and then we're going to pause for some photography. This is actually kind of a nice view, because you got the beginning of the peak up there. We just hiked down from that, and we're going to take a quick break for some photography. And if the Hawkeye here wants to come out and take some pictures with us, that wouldn't be so bad. But we're going to take a break real quick, and then we're going to make our way back out. Quick scan of the tree line. Should there be anything there I pick up later? I doubt it, but... And back up the hill and to the trail again. And that's going to take us on a slow curving descent down the peak back towards the 5 bogs, where with any luck maybe the wind will be more forgiving, but I'm not going to hold my breath at this point. But anyway, for those of you that like bumbling around in the woods type videos, you got plenty of that today. Tomorrow more aerial stuff, and then when I get a chance to edit, we will see how we mix that all together. And then at least as we get into the ferny uneven part of this, the grabber bushes get over themselves. The combination of which would suck. But rather than poke my leg with that, we're going to crack it instead. And if you do try to walk through stuff like this, one bit of advice: wear boots, not shoes, something with ankle support. You will need that. You will want that. Wrenching your ankle and getting back to your car from here, that's a long walk. So don't do that. And we're almost back. But so this, it's not and we're back. Area. We as the 5 kind of walking in on the left side of the southern bog right now. It is more spread out though. I'm just curious if this is an easier way into the back side of this for exploration, future or otherwise. We just completed a drone flyover of this area. Came out pretty well, with initial concern because flying overhead before I launched was a flock of about 7 crows, and I have had crows go after the drone before. So in fact, some of you may remember there was a video I put up winter of this year, probably circa February, when You actually have if you pay attention, you can see the drone have a close flyby by a crow who was none too happy to see him in there, or to see him in his overall area. And to add to the point, the crow in question actually and its mate basically were squawking and following me all the way back to the car over a course of over a 2-mile walk. So, which is strange because when I drone over my neighborhood more or less in the suburbs, the crows don't seem to care one way or the other. Out here, I guess it's the being used to people factor versus not or something, but out here, wild crows seem to be more of a concern. Wild being relative to like being used to people in the suburbs, if you're going to be a nitpicker, but alright, this isn't too bad to get in here. Minus the poker, or the grabber weeds here. You all know I love them. But the flyover went good though. And here's an interesting find. It looks like it's long abandoned, but somebody's got a boat out here. Abandoned, but let's get a closer look at this just for giggles as I'm walking through 1,000 spider webs. Yeah, it's full of water. That's been left for dead, but every now and then you find weird stuff out here. But sorry about that. We had a technical difficulty with. Alright, so maybe this isn't the easiest approach, but hold on one sec. I gotta do a quick check here. Let's see. And that's about as far as that gets. So, alright, maybe not the best approach. But beaver dam, nice little pond right here. Not really a lot moving around in it fish-wise that I can see, but we're at the extreme end of the pond, and then the rest of it, as we recall, goes on over that way for the better part of 2 or 3 football fields, and there's more beyond that little frigging divider over that way. So if I felt like scaling that up there, you'd get all the way over there. That could be like a whole day's workout. We're going to concentrate on the greater agenda we already have though, and take some of the wind that we already have, which is flyover, track find, and the rest of that we found. The track find was unexpected, but then again, like I said, it's the first time you've been in there, so I'm kind of walking defensively to keep the wire. I'm trying to charge a drone battery en route. That's the thing, and being silly, I forgot to consider the fact that you're bushwhacking through a whole bunch of stuff here that could grab at it, so that's on me. I'm trying to find the least undergrowthy way back out, but it wasn't the grabby things that got me. That was actually a freaking pine branch. So live and learn. And oh, the spider webs that I'm probably now covered in. So there you go. Okay, we're back. And the visual we're going to take a break at this point. I want to just double check me figure out which one this was on a map when I look later, because you have a visual reference from up close. But this is the surrounding area, though. And in a moment we'll be pond side. Just noting all the fallen branches too, though. Widowmakers being what they are. But here we are. Here's a nice pond, more or less, along the side of a mountain in the more or less middle of nowhere. Flooding levels being what they are, you can probably make a nice campsite here, actually. But as before, I am going to take the liberty of some photography here too once I pan again, and then we'll make our way back out and see what that accomplishes. And I walked right by it. There's your beaver lodge right there. So this is most definitely a beaver pond, not that I didn't think it was. But first photography, then scrambling through the woods banter, and we'll be back on trail. Got a couple of nice pictures of the pond. Like I said, first time at this one, so nice little pond in the middle of nowhere. Nice remote thing. If you're a fisherman, you might have pretty good luck in here. I know another one in the bow tie area where I actually encountered somebody fishing once. If his catch was any indication, something to think about, because he had a pretty good day for fishing that day. So the nice thing is the trail runs pretty parallel to all of this, so as long as you head back the way you came, you're going to pretty much hit it at some junction of it. And the other nice thing this time of year, with a lot of the undergrowth being cleared out, is you can see a ways off, which minimizes close encounters of other kinds in the undergrowth, of the more bearish kind in the lake. Or in the case of things, I actually had a tense moment with coy wolves, if that's what it was. Coy wolf, coy dog, it was a coy something. And he broke off, but not without motivation. This is the muddy part right where it starts, because you can just feel an instant change in the ground's consistency when you walk up to where the water starts. It gets real soft and muddy real quick. So but I love the way the grabber bushes suddenly maximize their numbers right when you get back to the trail. It's like insult to injury, if you don't mind a moment of cynicism. Kind of a interesting confluence of trees right there. And an XE looking thing there. This one, I'm going to make a point here. Those could have probably fallen that way. This is interesting because there's not really anything up there. Why can't this thing go in the right direction? There's nothing up there where that would have fallen from. That accounts for that. And given the height off the ground, that's what separates this from a lot of other wood structures.